Joining me live now is a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Liberal MP Andrew Wallace, also the Deputy Chair of the Intelligence and Security Committee. Andrew, thanks for your time. Let's start with this debate around anti-Semitism. Yesterday there was quite a stoush in the House of Reps.
There was.
As the coalition sought to sit down the Attorney-General, essentially, to silence him. He's put out a statement, says today, "I never thought I'd see the day when a Liberal leader would try to silence a Jew for speaking about anti-Semitism in the Australian Parliament." What do you say to him on that?
Well, I think the concern was more around his allegation that this whole debate had been politicised. Now, I know that that's what Labor, that's their talking point, but the reality is that Labor has been absolutely nowhere to be seen. And the only parts that it has been negative towards Israel and the Jewish communities in Australia. Look, I mean, Mark Dreyfus and I, we ride together on Wednesday mornings, but on this point I think he is wrong. The reality is that the opposition, and led by Peter Dutton, has been absolutely vociferous in its support for Israel, whilst Anthony Albanese has been nowhere to be seen. And whilst Penny Wong has been running a counter-argument in the United Nations. You know, part of the reason...
Let's look at the... I mean, yeah, that's your point on Israel. What about on anti-Semitism?
Well, I think
so there's a critique of the...
I think one follows the other. I mean, the reality is that the appalling lack of leadership, political leadership shown by this Prime Minister, and quite frankly, by almost all Labor members in this House, has, and also in the States, it has given a green light to what we have seen is a rising tide of anti-Semitism in this country. And we've seen this rising tide of anti-Semitism ever since 2 days after October 7. Since what we saw on the steps of the Opera House, these people who would seek to divide us in this country were left unchecked as New South Wales police just stood by. Now, admittedly, and over a period of time, the New South Wales police have stepped up to the occasion, but the reality is that we have seen an appalling lack of leadership in this country, political leadership by the Prime Minister, and that has given backbone to people who are pushing this anti-Semitism agenda on both the far left and the far right.
Do you think that there's been, and obviously the government would reject what you're saying there in terms of the, you know, Mark Dreyfus saying that his government, Mr Albanese, have been pushing back against anti-Semitism. The Greens, on the other hand, there's been a blowback politically, it seems, because of the position, do you think, that they've taken at protests and so on alongside Hamas sympathisers?
Yeah,
do you think you're seeing that in various electoral results lately?
I do. I think we've seen that in Victoria, and I honestly think we'll see it again with the Teals at the next federal election, because the Teals have also been not what I would call supportive of Jewish Australians.
What about Allegra Spender?
Well, I'd give Allegra Spender a carve-out from that.
But the others, you think there'll be...
I do think that there will be a blowback for the same reason as what we're seeing against the Greens now. There will be people who realise that this whole Teal agenda has been a total failure. They vote with the Greens on more than 75% of occasions in the House.
And you think you'll win a number of those seats back?
Well, time will tell. But I think that there will be a significant blowback against them.
Donald Trump says he is going to give it great consideration, an exemption for Australia on the steel and aluminium tariffs. Do you welcome that? And he also says, spoke to Prime Minister Albanese, he's a very fine man, is how he described him.
Well, it's the art of diplomacy and the art of the deal, isn't it? Look, I was disappointed that we had to endure a press conference with the Prime Minister for about 10 minutes before, you know, he was building us up with this expectation. He talked about everything else under the sun and then said, that the President and I spoke and the matter is under consideration. You know what that reminded me of? is when your 5-year-old says to you, can we have lunch at Macca's? And you say, well, we'll have a think about it.
Oh, so you don't think it's going to happen?
Well,
that we know Big Mac.
Who knows? But the pressure is on the Prime Minister here.
He sounded pretty serious, though, Donald Trump, saying it's something I'm going to give great consideration to. He didn't say that to any other country.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But the pressure is definitely on this Prime Minister to land this deal. I would encourage the Prime Minister to use every available tool in his tool belt to get this happening, because the consequences are too important for this country.
Andrew Wallace, appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Kieran.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.